It's Croctober, the official celebration of Crocs fans like you. So whether you like to rock your classic clogs, get cozy and fuss-lined, personalize with your favorite Jibbitz charms, or even, dress up like a clog for Halloween, it's time to tell your story and share your style. Join the Croctober celebration with Crocs fans around the world. Go to crocs.com to discover the range of shoes and find a pair that's iconic like you. Crocs, celebrating you all month long.
You are listening to the Smuggler's Galaxy podcast, my favorite podcast to listen to on long flights across the galaxy.
This is the way.
We wanted men.
Welcome to episode 215 of the Smuggler's Galaxy podcast, your favorite Star Wars podcast for smugglers in the galaxy. I've been away for a week. It's Glenn. I'm back. Jason's with me too. It feels like it's been like 3 weeks since we recorded, but it's only been a week. And we're here. We're ready to rock.
I've been here the whole time.
I know you have.
Just been in the background. No one's noticed. Someone put Jason in the corner.
Don't put Jason in the corner. How you been, Jason?
Fine. How are you?
I'm trying to be relaxed, trying to get my land legs back, but it's been interesting because you'll stand still and it's like you get dizzy. And why am I dizzy? Oh, I was on a boat for 4 days.
Were you like higher towards the top or lower towards the bottom?
We were on deck 9 towards the front.
That doesn't help me.
So we were like I think there's 13 decks. So we were on deck 9. So I guess towards the top.
Oh, okay. Because they say if you're towards the top, you rock more than if you're on the bottom where you kind of rock less.
Yeah, the only rough night we had was the last night coming out of Castaway. But everybody was like, "Yeah, man, this cruise has been awesome." And you kind of felt it. You felt when the ship turned, when it was trying to dock and stuff. But that last night, it wasn't rough, but you knew you were on a ship. Coming back from Castaway into Port Canaveral, but we can get into that later. It was a good trip. I already booked my placeholder, so sometime in 26 we will be going on another cruise. Because we really did, huh?
I said, "Oh my goodness."
You guys need to come, dude. It was a lot of fun. We looked at each other one night and we're like, why did it take us 10 years to go on a cruise? I was like, I don't know, babe. You tell me. I think it's because we had traveling to do. Because a cruise is not. You don't go on a cruise to travel. You go on a cruise to get away.
Yeah, I want to travel. I don't want to get away. I have like zero interest in the fact that you're talking about like rocking back and forth and getting seasick. I just remember the time that I took a trip out to Fort Jefferson in the Dry Tortugas, and it was an 1.5-hour boat ride through open, choppy seas.
Oh.
And I was very sick. And I don't want to be like that for a week, man. I'd rather just go to Scotland or go to Germany or visit the world.
Yeah. I don't know what I mean, but it is nice to relax. But you see, Mandy's a fan of relaxing versus sightseeing. So it's sort of a good mix of let's go do something versus let's go relax. Because you've got all kinds of stuff on the ship. You've got a bunch of bars you can go hang in, and shows you can go see, and trivia, and yeah,
To each their own.
Yeah. No, it was fun, dude. I was able to sit back on like an adults only deck and smoke a cigar and drink a big old beer a couple of times. And
on a Disney cruise?
On a Disney cruise. There's smoking. Yeah. There's like smoking sections and adult. Dude, it was amazing as far as you could be most involved. It was like the amount of kids was like normal. Cause it was like 20 years ago on my last cruise, and it was about the same amount of kids. And we went on a Carnival cruise about 20 years ago. and the amount of kids was about the same. But I also had kids. My kids were 10 and 13 at the time, or 12, 13, somewhere in there, because it was in 05. And yeah, the kid interaction is as much or as little as you want. So the worst part, I think, was the elevators, because nobody had elevator etiquette. They didn't, because they were long and narrow, and it's like you step in and you got to go way in the back. Please don't just stop. And a lot of people were just like stopping in the front of the elevator, and it's like, dude, you've got 20 more people that need to get on this thing, so you got to move, buddy. But yeah, we can get more into it later. How was your week, Jason?
We're into it, so just get into it.
Just get into it. Okay. So anyway, yeah, no, we had originally planned to stay in St. Augustine for a couple of days before we went down to the cruise, but with Milton, that messed up our St. Augustine trip.
Milton.
Hurricane Milton, yes, because Hurricane Milton came through. I was watching it that whole week. Actually, I'd been watching it for a long time because it kind of developed. People kind of knew it was going to happen, but they didn't know when. And then, of course, right when we get ready to leave, it develops. And I was watching it thinking that we could sneak in on the back end of it because it was supposed to pass through Wednesday morning, like early Wednesday morning, and be long gone by Thursday. So I was thinking maybe we could have snuck down on Thursday and still made a 4-day, some time in St. Augustine. But we decided to cancel St. Augustine, and then we just repeated our July trip, which was in downtown Titusville, and hung out down there for 24, 48 hours just to decompress. So we took the Thursday, Friday, and just did housework because I've been out of town for work and I haven't really been able to do things around the house and really prepare for the trip. So I guess it was sort of a blessing in disguise.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to get my car worked on, get the oil change and all this stuff. And
high level Disney cruise, focus.
High level Disney cruise. So anyway, we went on the Disney cruise.
Brushed my teeth on Thursday.
I brushed my teeth on Thursday. Yes.
Cut the grass.
I'm still trying to get my leg. That's like, why am I dizzy? But anyway, so we boarded.
Wait, you're still dizzy?
Huh?
You're still dizzy?
It happens. Huh?
When did you get off the boat?
Friday.
So it's almost 48 hours.
Right. And I'm still, if I sit still for too long, I'm like, what's going on? I'm just totally, you're just like, yeah, I'm not going on. Jason's rocking back and forth. Look at me. So because of Hurricane Milton, the way Disney does their cruises is they'll do a 4-day cruise and a 3-day cruise over the weekend, and then another 4-day cruise. And that's just a rotation they go on.
Mm-hmm.
The 4-day cruise, they canceled the middle cruise. So the 3-day cruise, they canceled. So they had a cruise that was happening the tail end of Milton, where Milton affected it. And then they had a cruise that was like when Milton was happening. And then they had our cruise. They canceled the cruise in the middle, and the 4-day cruise that went out before us stayed out like 2 extra days. So because of that, when we got to port, they were just, normally Disney they're really strict about when you get to port and, staying with your port times. And when we got there, they didn't care because they were just in a jolly mood, and they had all their stuff together because they had an extra day to get the ship ready, and they just let everybody on, or not on the boat, but into the port, which was just basically a big airline terminal.
Yeah.
And we had heard that SpaceX was shooting off a rocket about noon. So we got to see the SpaceX rocket go over the Disney ship, over the Wish. So that was kind of cool. And we were close enough to where you could hear it and kind of feel the engine, the takeoff. So that was cool. That was like I've seen 2 rockets launch. And for a kid from Louisiana and Georgia, seeing 2 rockets launch is pretty cool. Because we saw SpaceX like 3-4 years ago, or probably 5-6 years ago. And we were able to be on the boat by like 12:30, 1 o'clock. We were on the boat eating lunch, getting ready, seeing stuff. What did we see? So it was a fun day. I don't want to give you like a day-by-day report, but we had dinner at 1923, which was their Disney team themed, like Walt and Roy on each side, and they had a bunch of Um, I think their original like drawings and stuff.
Hmm.
So you guys would love that because it's um full of that. And then we'd had a day at sea, and then we did Marvel, which I wasn't really excited about the Marvel show. It looked like it could be cool. They had like this thing on the table that you had to touch, and your magic bands kept interacting with the show, so they would light up and stuff and vibrate. But I mean, it was a cool show, but I was expecting a lot more. And then like Spider-Man ran by and was like, "Hey guys," and then disappeared.
Oh, this is like the stunt show at like on deck.
No, this is at dinner.
Oh, so
Yeah,
there's a dinner show too?
so there's three shows. There's three dinners at there. There's 1923, which is the Disney, which is like the high dining. There's World of Marvel, and then there's Arendelle,
Frozen.
Frozen. So, and then we ate at Palo, which is the high end steakhouse, which is extra.
Yeah.
Which, if you can get an Apollo and you're really into steak, it was amazing. Because I paid $25 for a Wagyu steak,
Mm, that's a
which,
steal.
yeah, which is normally like a $200 steak. Because
Yeah.
when the waitress was like, "Why are you guys here?" I'm like, "Because I can get a Wagyu for $60." And she was like, "My good man, you know what we're talking about." So, but she talked me out because they had like a purebred Wagyu, and then they had a Wagyu that was infused with another cow. And they talked me into that one, which was like $25. So I'm like, hey, it was a amazing steak for the money.
How
And
how
huh?
was the lounge, the Hyperspace Lounge?
Okay, so hyperspace, that's what we did. So we went eat, and then we went directly to the Hyperspace Lounge, which, as much as I was looking forward, I kind of pulled my expectations down for that. It was a one and done for me, the Hyperspace Lounge, because number one, the drinks were really expensive in there. I think my wife paid like $25, maybe $30 for a drink. Now, granted, the presentation was awesome because the ice cube was Darth Vader's head. So she had like a big ice cube, like a 1 inch, 2 inch ice cube that was Darth Vader.
Yeah, that's something you can get off of Amazon though. So it's like that shouldn't be a $25 drink, but that is Disney Star Wars in a nutshell, overcharging
Right.
because they assume the audience are idiots.
Yeah. And when he presented the drink, it had smoke to it, and it was a very slow pour, and it was a big presentation. So you're paying for the presentation, which to me wasn't worth the extra $10.
Right.
And then they have these mugs that you can get like an extra pour. So instead of getting a 16 ounce, you get a 20 ounce pour. And I presented him my mug, and of course he hands it to me. And I don't get a Star Wars glass, I get a Disney Cruise Line glass. So I was like, this kind of ruins this immersion for me. Uh, and
Would you like a Pepsi?
right, exactly. It was sort of one of those things. But it was cool because we sat at the bar and we got to watch it jump to hyperspace a couple of times, and you're watching ships, and you're trying to recognize ships, and you're like, okay, this planet's got to be Mustafar because it's red and glowing, so the Empire will pop up. And they had like the inter not the interceptor, but the shuttle, the Sith shuttle that looks like an Imperial shuttle with the
Yeah.
three wings. And then they had the Star Destroyers show up, and um, just cool stuff happening. And then you're like, okay, we're in Rogue One, so here we go. You saw the Rogue One ships, and then of course all of a sudden here comes the Ghost, and I'm like, there's the Ghost, and of course Mandy saw it before I did because I wasn't paying attention. And but yeah, it was versus the other bars, because all the other bars have like live music and stuff going on. There was nothing really going on music ambiance wise in that room except for the noises that were happening.
And this is the room that they shared a couple months ago and they shared it online and it looked like somebody just redid their basement with like a limited budget on Star Wars or what they thought Star Wars room would be.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Okay.
It felt like it was an extension of the Star Cruiser.
Okay. But the Star
Um,
Cruiser was further themed. This looked like some dude's man cave. I got $100. Let me flip this thing.
that's pretty much, I mean, it wasn't that bad, but yes, it felt like that.
Okay, $1,000.
Yeah, maybe $1,000. However much that screen costs, because that screen was pretty cool. But it wasn't worth me going and watch it for another half an hour while I drank, $50 worth of drinks. We did go down to the kids club because the kids club was open the first day. And that I was like, why couldn't they have themed everything like this? Because it's got a sort of sabacc table, the round Millennium Falcon table in a corner, but it's not Millennium Falcon. But it's got that same booth feel to it.
Darachek?
Huh?
Darachek?
Yes.
That's the name
Yeah.
of the game.
Yes.
It's
But
a
it
Star
just
Wars
doesn't.
podcast, so we gotta.
Dare check.
Numbers
I
were
will make
down
it
last
right.
week.
Huh?
Our numbers were down last week when we did the paranormal episode, so we got to keep it back to Star Wars.
I still hadn't listened to that. Maybe I hadn't had a chance.
See, you didn't want any. And my theory was it was two things. Either people really miss Glenn and they're like, no, I'm not going to listen to this. But we know that's not true because of my charming personality.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's the paranormal aspect of things and people were skipping it. So
Our people were just busy. I think the numbers
no,
are
it's me. I mean, they're not going to do that. They'll make time for me. Anyways, sorry.
But there was a lot of creatures down there. Oh, wow. The numbers really were down last week. Anyway, there was a they had a bunch of creatures down there. They had the same loath cat that they had at Galaxy's Edge, where she's sleeping with the porg. And a lot of creatures that were interacting, and all the buttons you'd swap a button, the light would light up. And apparently there was this game that you play with your magic band, but that wasn't out. To where you can control, because you would scan your magic band and then they'd give you a tablet that you can interact with the room, and that wasn't out when we were there, so I don't know what that was about. But that was a cool. I was in there. I was like, this. Why couldn't they have done this for adults? Theme it up a little bit and make it an adults room. If they would have been serving drinks, if that would have been the Hyperspace bar, I would have been ecstatic.
Yeah, Disney adults like playing games too.
Right. I did play Star Wars trivia and I lost egregiously. Because
Jordan and I weren't there to carry the team.
Exactly. I did good though. I probably scored fourth or fifth place. But there was people that I guess knew because I got one right that nobody else got right, because it was like, what was Kylo Ren's ship?
Oh,
yeah. What is his ship?
His ship was it the TIE Dagger?
Oh.
Is that what they're asking?
Yeah. What was his ship? What was his TIE
Silencer?
Yep. I was the only one that got that right. And it was like, what was Tarkin's first name?
It's Willem. Willem?
I think that was it. It sounds
Willem.
about right.
Yeah. I was
and it was
William.
Like in the book.
Wilro. No, it's Willem.
That sounds about right, but it was like only in the book. Unless you read, I think it was only really in the Tarkin book.
I mean, it's the same thing with Palpatine's name.
Right.
It's only in the book.
They did ask what Palpatine's name is, but people know that. It's like you listen to enough podcasts, it's like it's Shmeed or something.
Shmee. It's Shmee.
It's Shmee.
Shmee Palpatine. People are
I totally
laughing
spelled
right
it wrong, but I'm like, that's close enough. Give me the answer.
Sheev. Shmee Palpatine. That's funny because that's Anakin's mom. Shmee.
That's maybe why I'm getting it confused. And then what else? They were like, where was a Rancor? What's the Rancors? Where are Rancors from? What planet are Rancors from?
Oh, I don't know. Felucia? I don't know.
Dathomir.
Oh, are they from Dathomir?
Yeah, I was like, wow. And then there was another one that I thought was a trick question. It was like, what was the hidden Sith planet? Rocky's Hidden Sith Planet, and I'm like, oh, that was in
Rebels.
what was the one nobody watched? Acolyte. That's the Hidden Sith Planet in Acolyte.
Is it? Or are they talking about the one in Rebels? What's the hidden Sith planet? Is it Dathomir?
Exegol.
Oh, Exegol. Oh,
Yeah, I was like, and then the guy next to me is like, no, it's Exegol. I'm like, no, dude, you're wrong. It's the one from Acolyte. And then there was like Exegol. I was like, oh, I'm being too nerdy.
What did the dude say to you when it was
He was
announced?
just, he's the one that won. He got like
Oh,
17 out of 20 right.
okay.
So,
See, I was overthinking it, and I thought they meant the Temple planet, which is I can't remember now from Rebels, where Ahsoka and Vader fight.
right. You see, we're both overthinking it, and it's Exegol. And then there was another one like, who said, I am one with the Force and the Force is with me? And then they had like they had four questions. It was a multiple choice. And then they had the guy's name, which was you know it because I didn't recognize the name. But it was like Han Solo, Princess Leia, Luke Skywalker, like easy names like that. And then they had
Or
him. And then the
Cheer It
lady
M-Way.
goes, huh?
Cheer It M-Way.
Exactly. She was like, this guy's from Rogue One. And I'm like, shut up. Stop giving it away.
Leia was in Rogue One.
Huh?
Leia was in Rogue One.
Right, but it wasn't Leia. It was like three very obvious, easy
Yes, I
answers
get
that you
what you're
knew,
saying.
and then they had the weird guy, the monk, and she makes mention that he's in Rogue One, and I'm like, lady, you need to quit. You just gave it away, and of course, I probably gave it away by being a dick. But anyway, so that's the only there was other Star Wars trivia that we just never made it to, and I think we spent a lot of time relaxing versus like trying to do the things. We did try to do a lot. Like the first or second night, there was a lot. If you do not like Disney, do not go on a Disney cruise because everywhere you go, there's Disney. The music in the hallway is Disney. The Disney characters are Disney. I was a little bit disappointed because the characters felt like they had like a half an hour line to meet them. And I'm like, I got too much relaxing to do to wait in a half an hour line to meet people.
Yeah, it's all because they got to get out of their costume. There's rules to that.
Right. Because they were given, I think what they would do is they'd say 10 minutes. So they'd give you 10 minutes to line up and then they cut the line.
Mm.
So only one I got to meet was Goofy. And I did that. I did that on Castaway, and I'll get to that in a second. But I'm trying to think what else we did. So they had like a Bayou grill. They had like a Bayou, which was a Tatiana themed bar. So we hung out in there, and they had a Beta beer, which was awesome. So I was able to get a Beta beer for cheap. I will say that the beer prices on the ship, I was very surprised because they were like $8 a beer. I was expecting them to be around the $15 mark for a beer, just because it's a cruise ship. So we drank a lot. My wife was like, how do we spend $1,500? And I look at the bill and I'm like, you see this $30? We did it $30 at a time. Because every time, because she'd get double shot of Jack, pour it in her Diet Coke. And that was $20.
Yeah.
So anyway, the bars were cool. There was a lot of live music. There was a postmodern jukebox style band that did Disney tunes that we listened to. They were really good. And I gotta say, so I met Disney. We met because we went to the Bahamas and Nassau. Never go to the straw market unless you want to see what a third world country really looks like. Because it's like a bunch of vendors that it's really hot in there. They're stacked on top of each other and they're all going, hey, big man, come look at my booth. Big man, look at my booth. And it's like, I don't need your crap. So,
well, they're trying to make a living.
Yeah, they are. I'm not, yeah. And if you do go to Bahamas, make sure you bring water, because I didn't bring water with me. And about 45 minutes in, I was like, I'm done with the heat.
Oh, so you don't like the heat?
I don't like the heat.
You make fun of me for not liking the heat.
I just had to get ready. But then we walked into a jewelry. I wanted to look at some jewelry stores. We walk into this one jewelry store, and the lady was like, "We have free Wi-Fi and water." And I'm like, "Sweet." So I gave my wife got on the Wi-Fi, and then I got on the, so we end up playing on Wi-Fi and drinking water, and we're sitting there looking at some jewelry. And then a guy walks in with a beer. And I was like, "Man, you got the right idea." And she looks at me and goes, "We got beer too." So next thing you know, we were drinking beers and buying jewelry. Anywho, that was our
What
Bahama. And then we went back to the ship and we were done buying jewelry. And of course, we are walking and people are like, "Hey, man, you want some party favors?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm good. I don't need party favors." "You
where
sure?"
where where else did you see Star Wars on the cruise?
um, I did not get to meet Chewie and Ray because they were off, they were like 5 o'clock on Castaway Day. So we didn't make it back to the ship in time to see them. But the only two big Star Wars things were the trivia and then at the Hyperspace Lounge and then downstairs in the kids' room.
Wait, so you see Ray on the day you depart?
We had one more day after. But yes, Ray was there, I think, like 2 times. You only had two
Oh, okay.
opportunities to meet Ray and Chewie.
Well, I was wondering if they like sent someone over from Galaxy's Edge and then had them come back and they didn't like depart with the ship. It's like a borrow program from Hollywood.
But the way that I want it down, if they had like people double decking or double duty in some of this stuff, because it was you saw people do a whole bunch of stuff. So you would see somebody do bingo and then you'd see her do something else. And then you'd see the lady at trivia. I rented a bike from her on Castaway, so it's stuff like that to where they're doing a lot on the ship. They're doing a lot of different roles. So I
Yeah.
wouldn't doubt if they had people playing multiple characters. And I don't know how good the Ray was because I didn't get to see her.
What
And it
else?
was, huh?
What else?
So we went to Castaway. Castaway was a cluster, dude. I was so aggravated by the Castaway day, which was the day we were looking at the most because we got the cabana. And of course, the interior family section is protected from wind and stuff as best they can. The adult section, they don't give a crap about. It's on the bare outside of the island. We're going to get the wind. So we had a time trying to find our way to the cabanas because nobody really knew, or they didn't really. I got confused. Mandy got confused. So we got off on the wrong tram stop and we started walking. The only good part is I got to meet Goofy because there was only like 4 people in line for him. And then I get in line for him and they're like, "You may meet Goofy, you may meet Chip and Dale." I'm like, I better be freaking meeting Goofy because I've been waiting all trip to meet Goofy. So I got to meet Goofy.
Good.
Yes, I was happy.
Good.
And then by the time we got to the cabana, after we figured everything out, it was the winds were probably 10 to 20 miles an hour. The winds were, it was high wind. They had to shut the beach down on the adult side and they canceled a lot of the activities because the wind was so high. And we got to the cabana and everything was going good. And then I think we got forgotten about because we were the only people that stayed in it all day. So that kind of stunk.
Is that
And
normal? Are people supposed to like use it as home base and explore?
I would assume that people would use it but to get from like the adult side of the island to the other side of the island is a big jaunt. It's not something, I mean, it should have been where you explored, or went and got in the water, but you couldn't get in the water on the adult section because it was too rough.
Mm.
But they would never come back. So yeah, yes and no. But I mean, if we spent a lot of money on that cabana. I mean, I wanted to leave it, because it's, but yeah, you're right. But I would still be coming back to my cabana.
Mhm.
They disappeared.
Was
So I
there
think
was
we
there
got
a button to say, "Hey,
it. Yes,
serving,
there
serve
is a
me,
button
please"?
and the guy never came.
Oh, okay, that's a problem.
It was a problem because we had set up that we were going to leave at like 4 o'clock because that was the latest we could really leave to get back to the ship. And about 3 o'clock, the wind started really picking up. And Mandy and I were like, "Yeah, let's just go. We're going to get wind blown. It's getting ridiculous." So we hit the button. The guy never comes. The guy shows up at 4 o'clock, like nothing, didn't say anything about the button. I thought we had actually gotten left. Like I legitimately, because we're the only ones there. I walked to go to the restroom just to see. I had to go to the restroom anyways, and I wanted to check things out to see if I can find them. And I'm walking around, there's nobody. And I was like, man, we got left. But then I saw the tram and I was like, okay, cool. The tram's at least running. We'll be fine.
Got left.
Because part of the deal with the cabanas is they will drive you to the gangway in a golf cart. So you know, it's like so yeah, I totally thought we got left, but thankfully I saw that running. So I was like, all right, we're good. But yeah, it was kind of disappointing with the cabanas. So and then I talked to, so we were talking to our cabana, the guy that was our liaison or whatever, or concierge. We were talking to our concierge, and Mandy wanted a sweatshirt because it was cold. And she's like, hey, where can I get a sweatshirt? He's like, yeah, catch the tram, and the tram takes you over here. And both of us are looking at each other going, Mandy and I, you got a golf cart, take us. We shouldn't be having to jump trams. Your job is to take us where we want to go.
Wait, when they say a tram, because when I think tram at Disney, they go from point A to point B, but they stop along the way.
Right.
Is it a tram, or is it like a rickshaw where they'll take you where you want to go, or an Uber?
This was they had golf carts for the cabana people, but then they had trams. Like, it literally, dude, these were either old school Disney trams, because you remember the old school trams, diesel trucks and stuff that Disney used to have.
Yeah.
They reminded me, like, it looked like they were decommissioned Disney trams, like from Disney World, that they brought down there.
Surprised.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either. But
decommission. What do we do with it? Give it to the cruise people.
You're right, the cruise people. But yeah, there was one that was running between two stops and the ship, and then there was one that was running from the second stop to Serenity Bay. And thankfully, they were off enough. They were two totally different styles of trams, so you knew which one was which, and the Serenity Bay one had a sign on it. So yeah, it was old school Disney trams they had 3 stops.
Nice.
Or 4 stops. Okay, now let me ask you this question. When you think of a tram, the first stop, so you've got 1, 2, 3 stops, or whatever. The first stop is the stop you get. What do you consider the first and second stop of your tram?
Wherever the machine stops. So if you're going to, I don't know,
if they pick where they pick you up, what do you consider that?
That's a stop.
So that would be the first stop, right?
The first stop when you get on.
Right. That's not how they did it down there. They said second stop. So I got off on the second stop, which in their mind was the first stop.
Maybe it's on the map or something. Like there's some sort of layout, and so it's more like I don't know, terminology that they use.
Right. So I got off at what I thought was the second stop, which was the first stop. So that's what messed us up. But anyway, long story short, if you want to blow $500,
get into the weeds.
We're so far into the weeds right now. But anyway, we've decided we're going to go back on another cruise. But if we get off at Nassau, we're going to get on and off. And if we go to Castaway, we're going to stay for like 2 hours, get in the water, and then get back on the ship. Because when we got done, I did talk to the people. Yeah, I don't know. I've talked to Disney, and we're going to send them an email to see what happens with the maybe getting some kind of refund with the cabana. But when I talked to them on the ship, they were like, oh my God, I don't know what we can do for you, because it's the last night of the cruise. And I'm thinking some kind of refund would be nice, but they didn't really offer it, and I didn't really push it. So I think we're going to push it now. I've talked to I sent an email to my travel agent, see what she says. But anyway, so after we get back from Castaway, I go to get on the Aqua Mouse, which is the water roller coaster. I get there and they're like, you got to do 2 people. You can't ride single rider. So I'm like, fine. So I go all the way back to the room, and I get Mandy, and we go back to the Aqua Mouse, and we wait like a half an hour, and we get right up front, and they're like, the ship's moving. You can't get on the Aqua Mouse. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense because it's turning and stuff.
Wally World all over again. It's National Lampoons.
It really was.
You're not gonna
And you
punch
could
Mickey
see
Mouse, are you?
right. But you could see the water in the Aqua Mouse was rough. You know, that you could see there's like a little bit of a turn, and you could tell that the water, yeah, that's choppy water. I don't want to be 50 feet in the air where there's an open section. Oh, look, it did me the thumbs up.
Yeah.
Where there's an open section and fall to my death. And then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, it's too windy. We can't let you on. So I was like, dude, I just waited a half an hour for nothing. And the lady behind me like lost her shit, like yelling and screaming at the guy. And it's like, ma'am, if you want to die, we'll let you on it. She was like, I waited a half an hour and 45 minutes and blah, now you can't do it. And it's like, we can't control the weather, ma'am. But other than that, those are the cruise was awesome. I enjoyed it. I know it sounds like I'm poo-pooing
A lot of
on
complaints.
There's a lot of, I do have some complaints. But there's also, I mean, the Hyperspace Lounge was cool. It wasn't worth the hype, but you go there once, have a beer, have a drink, enjoy the screens, see the ships. The other lounges was great. We played bingo. We lost. So we do plan in sometime in 26 taking another cruise. Probably on the same ship, because there was so much stuff that we didn't get to see on the ship. And I think that's the thing you need to look at is if you go, you can't do all the things because there's too much to do. You would literally be up 24/7 to do all the things. So yeah, and I don't know how people go to Disney after a cruise, because we were exhausted on Friday driving home.
Yeah.
I had made a tattoo appointment for like 2:30 on Friday, and we decided to, so I got done with that like 7:30. So Mandy made an appointment. We decided we were going to drive halfway home. We drove to Valdosta, and we get to a hotel, and I was glad we were only spending like 7-8 hours in that hotel. I walked in and I was like, we pull up and we're like, oh crap. And then we get to our room and we're like, oh, thank God it's midnight and we're only going to be here to sleep. Because I'm like, babe, how much did you pay for this hotel? She was like, $80. I was like, I'm glad you didn't pay more than $80 for this hotel.
Yeah, but that's also a red flag, because $80 for a hotel. $80 for a hotel is like, ooh.
Yeah.
Are the cockroaches part of the amenities?
There were no amenities. There were no, I mean, the bathtub was held together with duct tape. The door of the bathroom door was like non-existent. So it was funny going from a Disney cruise to a Roach Motel.
Yeah.
It was really eye-opening because, dude, I will tell you, the porter or the stateroom guy was amazing. We would go, we'd go to lunch or we'd disappear for the morning, and then we'd come back like midday, and he'd clean, and he would fold our dirty clothes. We had like dirty clothes on the floor, and we'd come back and they were folded. I mean, that's the level of care you get on a Disney cruise. And then you'd come back later in the evening, and they'd do turn down where they gave you chocolate, did the little characters and stuff. The food was incredible. The way, I mean, on the ship, the first day on the ship, we felt like they were ninjas, because you were walking around going, hey, I wonder where this is. And 5 people would pop out and be like, it's over here. Pop out of nowhere, like tell you where it was. Cause I was like wondering where the slide was, because there's a slide from the main ballroom, from the main hallway down into the kids area. And it's the only day they let adults go on it, is like the first day. So I was like, I wonder where that slide is. And like 5 people, it's over here. So that was kind of cool. It was fun being a kid again. And it was fun. Like my wife said, it was fun watching me become a kid again. And we had one of her friends that drove us to the port, and she was just like, I want to do Disney World with you. I was like, let's do it. She's like, I want to experience Disney World through your eyes. I was like, let's plan it, because we will have some fun. But yeah, dude, we were freaking exhausted on Friday, and we're still kind of, we didn't, to be this exhausted and do nothing is amazing.
Well, I mean, still getting to places is exhausting, and the act of traveling can be exhausting.
Yeah.
Staying
But
in a
no,
Roach motel could be exhausting
oh
for
my God. But we were home by 3 yesterday, so that was nice.
cool.
Versus not 7 or 8 if we would have left Saturday morning.
Did
So
you pick anything up on your cruise?
just some jewelry. I picked up a watch. Ooh. Dude, I was looking at watches on the ship and they're all like high-end luxury stuff. And the dude's like putting a $15,000 watch on my wrist. He's like, here you go. You could buy it. It's 6 months, same as cash. I'm like, you realize this is as much as a car, right? But you can't wear a car. Yeah, but it's $15,000 for a watch.
No, thank you. I'm
Yeah.
good.
Oh, and I kept going. I mean, I kept looking at them just because there's nothing else. No, I've traveled Carnival and it felt like Carnival had like maybe more jewelry, but it's been 20 years. Plus, Carnival had a casino, which I'm glad I didn't have a casino because I would have spent more money. Um, but yeah, every time the guy would be like, "You want to see that watch again?" I'm like, "Dude, here, look at it." I'm like, "Damn, here you go." But he was nice, but forceful, forceful, nice with it. Um,
But you
but yeah,
didn't
we didn't.
pick
I didn't.
anything Star Wars up.
I did get a tattoo,
A tattoo of what?
Sabine's lightsaber.
Oh, this should be a quick tattoo then.
It was like 3.5 hours.
Oh, so is that long?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's a big tattoo, man.
oh, it's big.
Yeah, it's like takes up my whole shin.
Oh,
So
okay.
I think
I get
and
it.
he was like, I couldn't find any tattoo. He's like, this is a new lightsaber. I'm like, yeah, it is. I said, I'm probably the first idiot to get it tattooed on me.
I I did go away, but I won't get into it. I did stop at a Ross,
Yeah.
and they had a bunch of the Book of Boba Fett figures, the retro ones. So I got Boba Fett, I got Grogu, and I got the Tusken.
Nice. We did do a little bit of shopping when we were in Titusville, and I did pick up Disney did a line of Hot Wheels cars. They were like their own brand of Hot Wheels cars, not Hot Wheels cars. They had an Inquisitor. I picked up that, and that was kind of
Hmm.
cool. And then I picked up the that thing for you, the whatever
Oh,
Gungan.
Micro Machines.
Yeah, the Micro Machines Gungan chip.
Yeah, that's the other thing I picked up this. Well, thank you for that. The other thing I picked up was on eBay. There's a single carded TIE fighter micro machine piece. And so like all micro machines at one point came single carded instead of like a pack of three, you can get a pack of one.
Uh-huh.
And it's a TIE fighter. In the front of the bubble says Star Wars TIE Fighter, but the back card is Star Trek. It's the Enterprise on the back.
That's so awesome.
So it's like a miss card. And I told the kids like this is my first this is my first Star Trek piece in my collection. And they were just teasing me like, oh, I guess he's gonna start Star Trek now. I'm like, nope, I'm gonna stick. I guess Dad likes Star Trek. Nope. The only Star
Nope.
Trek I like is the ones that were made to be like Star Wars.
Right. Yeah. No, yeah. That's awesome.
So it's a funny piece, and I've got two miscarded micro machines now.
Look at you go. Yeah, we wanted to go up to the Disney outlet and we just didn't have time. Like the out character warehouse, we were like 45 minutes away. And by the time I got done with my tattoo, it was like 7:30. And I was like, I'm not driving 45 minutes out the way. So it would add
Yeah,
like 3 hours to our trip. So it just didn't
right.
happen.
At least it's an outlet mall, so there'd probably be other stops along the way.
Right. So we didn't do that. And then yeah, we just drove. I think Mandy found Lakeland Antique Mall, which is where
Yes,
Disney dumps all their stuff, and we were like an hour and a half away from that.
some of
Uh,
it. There's another place that has more.
yeah. So I think Lakeland Antique Mall is going to be on our radar next time we're in Florida, which will probably be 20 sometime in 26 because I don't know when we're going to have time in 25 to go. Uh, because we already got trips booked, and my wife will be on a freaking 2-week cruise in April. So
I always say Lakeland. I don't say Lakeland. Lakeland.
Lakeland.
You said Lakeland.
Oh, did I say Lakeland? It's Lakeland,
It is
tomato.
Lakeland, but like the way people say Maryland
Uh-huh.
instead of Maryland. So I thought maybe you were saying Lakeland, which I thought was interesting because I don't say it that way.
Oh,
But no, never mind.
Lakeland.
You're probably doing two things at once there.
Oh, yeah. I don't know why I put Facebook up because then I get distracted and you'll say something. And it's funny doing this podcast. I realize why people don't, because you'll be listening to the radio and somebody will say something. And then the next host will be ask them a question about something they just said. And I'm like, oh, now I realize what happened. You were distracted and not paying attention.
Yeah, they're getting ready to run their next record
You're right.
or single or whatever they call them these days. They're not records,
Right. It's not even a CD anymore.
right?
I think it's all digital, if that.
There's a place in Winter Haven called Forever Vintage, and they have a bigger selection of items from Disney than Lakeland Antique Mall.
Now you're saying it wrong.
But that Lakeland Antique Mall it's close to Disney, it's convenient. So it's definitely worth a trip.
Yeah, Mandy had found what she thought was where they sold the lost and found items
Yeah.
but she just, oh, it was a Boys and Girls Club. And we got there and I'm like, I don't think this is what you were expecting. I don't think this is the right spot. There was Disney items there, but it wasn't a big selection of them. And she was like, well, maybe they didn't get their donation yet.
Mm.
So no, I enjoyed the trip. It was a great trip. We're going again, even with all the bumbles, and it wasn't even that many bumbles. I know but that's just what I guess I lead with. It was a nice, relaxing trip. We were able to find like the adults only section and chill out for several hours. And we were kind of where we were sitting was a dead end. And I looked at Mandy at one point and went, I have to get a shot for every time somebody tries to make the dead end and turns around. She was like, dude, you'd be just so drunk because it was like every 5 minutes, somebody would walk up, see that it was a dead end and like turn around upset. But no,
But you had fun.
I had an amazing time. The ship's not as, people are like, oh, it's such, there's only 2 elevators on this one. Oh my God. It's like, dude, it's not that bad of a walk. Once we figured out that we could stay on our deck where our stateroom was and avoid 90% of the mess by just walking the length of the ship on our stateroom, we did that so many times. So like we were in the forward part of the ship. And if we wanted to go to like dining and stuff, that's in the back half of the ship. So instead of going up to deck 11 and walking through the pools and stuff, we would just stay on 9 and walk it and then go to the other back elevators to go up. So that's a tip that I'll give you. And don't try to do everything. And find the adults only section and sit down and have a beer.
Anything else about the cruise?
I got to see Red. You're like, what? The fireworks were awesome. Pirate Night was great. The Pirate Night show was cool. See the stuff from the adult section because you can stand on the adult section and look down and have a pretty good view of everything and not be in the midst of people, not being in the throngs of thousands of people trying to watch the show. Do you have any questions, Jason? You're normally good about leading me when I go astray, and I think I've
been trying to. I've talked about pickups. I've been trying to focus back. Like, we get it. You had fun.
I had fun. It was great. But yeah, I didn't pick up.
I think you're going back in circles.
I really am. I'm waiting on finally that Bill and Ted piece should be here next week.
Oh, nice.
Should be cool. Finally, after months of, because the guy that I'm getting it from got it from another guy who apparently just makes deals and then forgets about them. So I should have that sometime next week and I'll be able to talk about it.
Collectors.
Do you want to talk about,
What? Talk about what?
All the stuff that just came out.
Yeah, I have news. Yeah.
Yes, let's talk about news.
So New York Comic Con happened. There was some discussion. I don't know how this got out, but the Go should be shipped in December.
Yep.
Which answers that question. It is late fall, but they're true to their word.
It's
But they did
almost winter.
yeah, it's almost winter, but it's not because it's still technically fall despite all the Christmas decorations and Hanukkah decorations and all that good stuff.
Do you think they looked at a calendar and went, when does fall start or end? And we'll make sure we ship it by then.
Yeah, because when people think fall, they don't think December, they think September.
Right.
And just like I said this last week, 2 weeks ago, Tiana's Bio Adventure was going to be in spring, but it was like Labor Day weekend or Memorial Day weekend spring,
Mhm.
which is basically summer. And so they do like to stretch that definition.
I looked it
Companies.
up. Fall ends 30th of November. No, so the end of November is the end of fall.
When's
If you
so
look at, huh?
when's the first day of winter?
Well, let me look. Hold on.
A riveting podcast
A
there.
riveting podcast. First day of winter, actually, winter solstice, which they're considering like December 21st, which is
Yeah,
Christmas.
that's the first day of winter.
Well, then there you go. Yeah. So the first day of winter is the end of December. So good job, Hasbro.
They did reveal some Black Series, the Vintage Collection figures. VC 310 is from the Skeleton Crew. It's Nawad. It's essentially Jude Law's character. But someone did point out that the feet on this character were the same feet that were shown in the Ariel Shush from the HasLab Cantina, the wolf guy.
Right.
It's the shared legs. They're the same legs.
Why are
So
people getting so upset if we get more figures and they share the legs? Who gives a crap?
it just goes to show like when they were it doesn't go to show anything. My theory is that when they were designing the thing, they didn't want to waste time designing a character that possibly won't get produced. So they
Uh-huh.
decided to use those legs for Jude Law. And if it just happens that this part of the HasLab gets funded, great. If not, we didn't lose any money because it's on this figure now.
Right. I
Also,
everybody else, every other character, every other line is doing it. People, let Star Wars do it.
no, I was just saying that I was just pointing it out. I'm not
Right.
complaining, by the way.
No, I
Uh,
know you're not complaining. I'm just Star Wars fans are the worst fans.
No,
Anyway.
it's like it's interesting. It's a
Right.
almost like a detective thing. Like, where did have is this new? Have they used this before? Where did this come from? And it could be a game.
Right. Gotcha. Well,
I don't
maybe
like
I'm the
the
worst fan of Star Wars for complaining about all of you people.
no, no, no. It's like a smart repack. It's not carbonized. It's not, some pop color figure thing. It's just a smart way to save money, but also, I mean, legs with boots are legs with boots. What difference does it make what character it goes on?
Right.
I only care when they do things like the Kersantin, the first one, where they basically just use Chewbacca's body and just sculpted a little bit more around the collar.
Right. No, no,
That that's a
yes.
problem.
Yes, totally agree.
They also showed off a new snowtrooper.
I'm excited about Snowtrooper's my favorite stormtrooper. So I'm excited about that one.
It's interesting. I guess Shore Trooper is mine, but it used to be the Scout Trooper from the original trilogy.
Right.
Is my
Well,
favorite.
it's like I said, I grew up with my toys were Empire Strikes Back, but my movie was Return of the Jedi.
Hmm.
So that's my favorites. I remember having that as a kid, and that was just a cool figure.
They're also releasing a new Sabine with a Howler, which is the wolf character from Ahsoka.
Yes.
That was probably to make Dave Filoni happy. Here's your wolf character. Have a nice day. Please, please lower the percentage of licensing fee. I'd appreciate that.
Yeah.
And then,
I'm go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, I'm excited about this one just because it's another Sabine, but it's like, I hope they correct it looks like they corrected the wrongs they did on the last one.
Yeah, with the helmets being too big.
Yes.
Yeah, and then they're releasing Sabine with from Ahsoka. She's deluxe, so she's got the wider card. She comes with a hat, lightsaber, guns, and a cloak. But when you look at it and you compare it to the Island Journey Ray, which clogged up Ollie's. It was Ray from the last, the Last Jedi.
Mhm.
Um, it looks like the exact same figure. So I fail to understand why it's deluxe. Because in this case, I don't think paint application's enough.
So let me. Okay, I thought those were the same figure. The Sabine with the wolf and that other Sabine. I thought they were the same figure.
No, there's two different Sabines being released. One with the Howler, which has a different number, so I assume it's different in some way. And then there's the deluxe one on the deluxe card. So it's they basically announced two Sabines, one with the wolf, one on a card. But like the deluxe, the one on the card is deluxe. It's wider. Like I say, it's costs more money than a regular vintage collection figure, and I don't see why because it looks exactly like Rey from the Last Jedi carded figure.
Right.
And
Wait a
then
minute. Okay, hold on. Because what I'm seeing, I'm pulled up the little thing from Hasbro, and it looks like that figure is carded inside that box because it's all one. Because when you pull up, it says Vintage Collection Sabine with Howler, Peridian,
right, right.
and the card is in those pictures with those pictures.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that there's two different numbers. I'm trying to pull it up myself to get a better understanding of what's going on.
Because to
Um,
me, it looks like it's the same Sabine. They just put her on a card, which I don't understand why they would have. Unless I'm thinking, okay, hold on.
Brand new figure, VC and Sabine with Howler. I don't know.
It
Maybe
looks like that's a
there is a
card
deluxe
figure.
version. I do think that the one with, I don't know. We'll see. We'll find out. We'll clarify
Okay,
and we'll come back.
hold on. No, it does say if you look at the box with the Howler, it has the card on the box. Do you
But
want me to
it's
send
not
it?
sold set. No, I see it. I see it. So okay, maybe it's not sold separately. Maybe I'm wrong. But still, okay. I stand
What?
corrected.
Talk to me. Talk to me.
The news is wrong. I'm just gonna jump.
No,
Windows open.
dude, I hope they fixed everything. I don't really need to have the Howler because I didn't understand it and it was only there for like 20 minutes. But whatever, it's a new Sabine figure. I'm gonna buy it. I'm not happy it's $40. And I also think that it's gonna be one of those figures that's gonna clog shelves here. But then again, I don't want to say I think they're figuring it out, but it's like with the Ghost on the Micro Galaxy stuff, we thought it would clog shelves and you can't find it anymore.
Yeah. The only way to get it is on Amazon, so I got to buy it on Amazon. But I think I want that version, the deluxe one, because the seats in the Ghost cockpit are painted.
Okay.
They're different than the regular solo release.
Well, good for them.
And
Go ahead.
then and then they also announced the new Dr. Ezevon from Star Wars.
He
He's the
doesn't like
exact
you.
he doesn't like you. He's the same figure from the previous VC-57, and they even keep the number, but the card art is different. It's him pointing sideways at Luke Skywalker saying,
I don't like you.
"Thank you."
He doesn't like you either. I've got the
So
death sentence on 12 planets.
systems.
Systems.
But who's quoting what? Um
Somebody just
it's
wrecked.
it's not Back to the Future, so we gotta throw him a pass. Uh they also announced a bunch of Black Series. Captain Brutus, who is a pirate, he's the wolf guy. Wim, Jod Nawood. So Wim is one of the characters from Skeleton Crew. So is Fern, KB, and Neil, and then so is Jod Nawood, which is Jude Law's character. So they announced all of that for Skeleton Crew, which is all most of that's leaked already.
Yeah.
Um, Yak Face. Oh, so they also announced Captain Cody's coming in Revenge of the Sith packaging, the Black Series. So it's a bit bigger. It's still the same kind of card. It's that bubble with the red in the background. I'm a real sucker for this kind of throwback card art.
Right.
And so I will be picking up Commander Cody like that. But Yak Face also says Dooku and R2D2 are coming for this line. So it's
Oh,
not the
that's
first 20th
interesting.
anniversary Revenge of the Sith figure.
Interesting. And a lot of people are griping. Why are they doing that in Black Series and not TBC?
Um, I guess there'd be no different. It's basically a repack. There'd be no different for what they've already released in episode 3.
Okay.
I don't know.
Because I know people are griping because they're like the TVC people are getting left out. The TVC people are griping.
Yeah, I mean, Vintage Collection for the most part, there does seem to be a disparaging difference between the amount, like it was 4 figures announced for Vintage Collection, and then like 6 figures, 7 figures announced for Black Series, and
Right.
brand new show, and they've got six, what, 6, 5, whatever the number was. They got more Black Series figures for Skeleton Crew than they do with the Vintage Collection, which is just Jude Law.
Right. I'm
So
yeah. Don't know
also
why.
announced what?
Go ahead. No, go. You're good. I'm
Also,
just going to make a statement and it doesn't make sense. So you talk.
also, this week the directors of the Skeleton Crew were announced. In addition to Everything Everywhere at Once directors, the Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert, they won an Oscar, so they are directing an episode of Skeleton Crew. Also is Bryce Dallas Howard, who we know can kick butt when it comes to directing Star Wars. Lee Isaac Chung, who directed Twisters, which is a really good movie. David Lowery, who directed The Green Knight, and Jake Shearer, who's directing Thunderbolts. So they've got a list of A-list directors on board for this. I don't know if John Watts himself is directing. I wouldn't be surprised, but he crushed the Spider-Man series, so hopefully he's directing an episode.
Yeah, I on the Wish, you of course it's all Disney propaganda, but in a good way. No, I've got so they were like there was one channel that they just continuously play like previews.
Yeah.
And they played the thing for the Skeleton Crew, and Mandy was like, I want to watch that. It already captured her in the 30-second blip. So I really hope Skeleton Crew can save Star Wars. I know that's a big ask, but I want Skeleton Crew to be able to save Star. I think it needs to. It needs
Um,
to bring people back to Star Wars after. I mean, as much as I enjoyed Ahsoka, as much as I enjoy the Acolyte, people just love to poo-poo on stuff. And it's like, this needs to resonate with a lot of people. Skeleton Crew does.
yeah, I don't know if Star Wars can be saved. That's all from a point of view, because if George Lucas's Star Wars is your Star Wars, then it can't be saved.
Right. But
But if
but
you're
I'm saying,
just, I hope it entertains the masses.
right. And saving Star Wars, I think, is a big ask, but it needs to entertain people enough to where you're like, Disney is like, okay, cool, we can still do Star Wars shows. Because I think if this fails, and then you've got if Star Wars shows continue to fail on Disney Plus, we're not going to get Star Wars show. We're not going to get any more Star Wars content.
I also want to bring up the point. I know people keep saying like I want something outside the Skywalker series. I want something different, but the Force hasn't been a part of Star Wars in a long time.
Mhm.
Like ingrained into the story of it.
Right.
Like the balance whole thing. Like what Disney's doing, and everyone says I don't want more Skywalker, but I feel like the Force is necessary, and it's not feeling like Star Wars because the philosophy's not there. The philosophy is missing, which I know is closely tied to George Lucas. But I think content makers need to start adding the Force back in. That needs to be a thread that needs to start having some sort of significance in the plot.
Right. I can agree with that. I think, yeah, we need, yeah, I'm with you. As much as I want to get away from it, I think it needs to be there.
I mean, even Ahsoka, it was part of it, because when you look on the series as a whole, with the ending where Balin Skull standing on the father, his arm, like it's there, but it's not part of the plot line.
Mhm.
But it is. I don't know. They need to do better.
We better have on our nerd pants when Ahsoka season 2 comes out, because it's going to get nerdy.
You thought about that with season 1, and they were light on the nerdy.
Right. But I don't know. They're going to have to recast Balin and see what happens. But hey, We know they're shooting it, so let's go.
They've probably already recasted him, but they're just not announcing who it is yet.
Yeah.
They'll probably wait till filming commences, or they'll wait till celebration and they'll walk out. Whoever's going to play. I'm so happy to join the Star Wars universe.
It'll be somebody like
Since
awesome.
since I was 12 years old, I saw the first Star Wars in the theater, and it impressed me, and I'm so happy to be part of it now.
Yes.
That's what they'll say on stage,
Right.
whoever it is. And then there is a new HasLab.
Womp, womp, womp. No, no, I don't say that in a.
It's an Ecto One.
Oh, it's a great looking HasLab. 6-inch scale.
6 inch, so it's basically Black Series scale. The base model is $325. It comes with the Ecto One, the Library Ghost, and Slimer. And then for an additional $75, you can swap out the top so it becomes Ghostbusters 1. Or,
Mhm.
yeah. It comes with the 4 Ghostbusters from Ghostbusters 2, a bunch of missiles and plasma, proton pack special effects. And then if it gets fully funded within the first 2 weeks, you get Tully, Rick
Which is,
Moranis' character
yeah.
from Ghostbusters. And then if it funds, and then you fund later, like if you decide, if it's a 45-day thing in the first 2 weeks, if it funds, everybody who backs it after that gets Tully, which I think is the wrong strategy. I think he's only available in those 2 weeks. So
Right.
I don't think that's fair, but whatever. But anyways, they're carrying over the HasLab from the Cantina.
So explain to me how it's different. Or did you said it changed from the Cantina, going to the exact
No,
opposite?
they're following the format from the Cantina because there was the base model and the deluxe model, and they're doing the same thing here with the Ecto. The only problem is like you don't need to buy 2 Ectos to make an Ecto,
Right.
like you did with the Cantina. Like you had to buy 2 Cantinas essentially to make 1 Cantina.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I mean, whatever. Bring it.
So for 75 more dollars, you get more figures and accessories, or
Yeah, you get more figures and more accessories, and a swappable top, so you can make a different Ecto One. I think it's from. I didn't read it. I'm looking at the pictures and making judgments based on
okay.
that. But I think it's the new Ghostbusters.
I have to go look at it. Let me. No, I saw that and I was just like, there we go. HasLab is making something really awesome again for people that aren't us. And it's got 4,800 backers in like 2 days.
Yeah, and the prices. I really worry about the prices because for a vehicle for $325, McFarlane Toys came out with Helm's Deep, the playset.
Mm-hmm.
It's 7 feet long. It's only 25, $30 depending on where you get it. It's all cardboard, but still, like, can we do something discounted like that for Star Wars? Does everything need to be hundreds of dollars?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm looking at the pictures of that and I think you're right. It for $75, why not just spend the extra money and get all the extra Ghostbusters and everything? Because that's you get a lot of
Well, you get a
quality.
value.
You
You
get a
get a
lot of
va
value for $75.
because if those Ghostbusters 2 figures were on store shelves, they'd be $25 each,
Right.
which is $100, and you're getting that for 75. So there's also a toaster accessory so you can do the slime and the toaster thing from Ghostbusters 2.
I have to see. I haven't seen Ghostbusters 2 in forever.
But yeah, so that's available, and it's already like half backed almost. So
Yeah. No, I do agree that I mean it's just getting to the point where toys are, I mean, they're not toys anymore. They're collectibles. It's $400 if you want something cool. The Ghost was 500-600 bucks.
yeah.
But I mean, so you were saying the one thing that McFarlane did was all cardboard?
Yeah, from Lord of the Rings. It's a new War of the Rohirrim. It's a animated anime movie, feature-length movie.
Mm-hmm.
And they made a playset for Helm's Deep, and it's like 7 feet long, and it's all made out of cardboard, but it's 25, $30.
Wow.
It's a value.
Wow.
And then something else, but I didn't write it down. Dope.
Doggone it, Jason.
It'll come back to me. Hopefully it'll come back. So I don't like talking about rumors, but this one seems to persist. So somebody is really blowing smoke, um, and trying to get clicks, or where there's smoke, there is fire, and there's something going on here. But I see more and more people talking about uh, Hasbro trying to ditch the Star Wars license.
Interesting.
But I think they're definitely going to go through the 50th anniversary 2027. So I think 2028 or 2029 they'll wind down if they're actually going to end the contract.
Mhm.
But it'll either go to like a Mattel where we'll basically get the same thing
Mhm.
that we've been getting, or it'd go to like a boutique like Mondo and we'd have to spend 250 bucks on an action figure.
Yeah, I'm not down for the 250 bucks for an action figure. I'm down for like the 45, $50. I'd be very happy to pay that if we get the quality that you get from like a Four Horsemen.
Yeah, but if something like the Four Horsemen make it because they're boutique,
Mhm.
they're boutique-ish. They're not a Mattel or Hasbro yet.
Right.
I do think it'd be more expensive. They don't do licensed items, do they? Am I
No,
wrong?
they do not.
So that's another thing to incorporate. Right now, I think it's anywhere between 21 and I've even heard up to 23% licensing fee for Star Wars. So they would be charging much more to have the same quality as they do for their Mythic Legions line and Cosmic
Well,
Legions.
yeah, I was just so while I was getting my tattoo, this is going. I'm bringing this back to Lucasfilm and all the BS that you got to deal with Lucasfilm. The guy that was doing my tattoo was on a tattoo show called Epic Ink 10 years ago, and that's the reason why I followed him and end up, I consider him an acquaintance, a decent acquaintance, because I've been to his shop, and every time I go in the shop, he knows who I am. Blah blah blah. He was talking about having to deal with Lucasfilm and he was like, it was amazing what you had to deal with just to do a tattoo on a TV show with Lucasfilm. And he was like, the reason why there wasn't a whole lot of Star Wars tattoos is because Lucasfilm kept poo-pooing on them, or they had to be done a certain way. And they, you know what I mean? It was like so you had to jump through so many hoops because of the licensing to do a tattoo on a tattoo show.
Yeah. And it wasn't always that way before Disney bought it,
Yeah.
which is frustrating, but
Yeah. So it's like if just to do a tattoo on a tattoo show, could you imagine making a toy?
no,
The hoops that these people have to jump through.
no. Now, that's all I had for the news, and we usually get into the main topic, but we've already got into the main topic. So I guess
Right.
we could just wrap this up.
I guess so. Yes, I am jealous of other toy lines because you are getting a lot of cool crap from Hasbro. And I'm not a Ghostbusters guy, but that Ghostbuster Echo one looks freaking amazing. And all the Joe stuff they done looks amazing versus what we're getting for Star Wars. So
It's got lights, which to Joe's and Ghostbusters get, but Star Wars doesn't. We don't get any light effects.
right.
But thank you for listening to the Smuggler's Galaxy podcast. If you could, please leave a like and a 5-star review of this show anywhere you listen to podcasts. It really helps us out and points people to our show. You can follow us on social media. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Send us an email or message us. We love feedback. We love to make you part of the show. Our email address is smugglersgalaxy@gmail.com. Thank you to Alfonso Riviera for the Smuggler's Galaxy logo. And thank you to Levi Waterhouse for the music. People collect for the love of it. Hashtag vote with your wallet. I ain't afraid of no force ghost. Pass on what you've learned. Be a positive force in the collecting community. This is the way.
This is the way.